Morning came to Aurelia 7 like a soft wave of light spilling across the forest. The colony, small but efficient, stirred with human activity as explorers checked equipment and monitored sensors. The planet seemed calm now, but the memory of the previous day's tremors lingered in everyone's mind. Elias Kane woke first. He felt the pulse of the entity deep inside him again, subtle at first, like a faint breeze brushing the edge of his thoughts. He sat up and focused, listening carefully. The presence was clearer today, not forceful, but patient, almost as if it wanted to teach him something. Leora appeared beside him, as graceful and quiet as ever. "It communicates more strongly with you after rest," she said. "Your mind is clearer now, and it senses that." Elias nodded. "I can feel it. It wants me to understand something? I'm not sure what yet." "You are its voice, Captain Kane," Leora replied softly. "The sooner you learn, the sooner the humans can act wisely." The humans gathered near the main observation hub. The sensors were alive with readings that seemed almost impossible vibrations. Energy flows, subtle pulses of light patterns that repeated in ways no human had seen before. Leora guided the humans, pointing out correlations between the pulses beneath the ground and the strange images appearing in Elias's mind. At first, his teammates were confused. "He's just imagining it," muttered Henry. But slowly, they noticed Elias speaking with confidence about things only the entity could know, movements beneath the planet. Energy surges and tunnels hidden deep below. "Something is communicating through him," Leora explained. Sensing the human's disbelief, "It is not dangerous yet, but it tests your understanding. If ignored, it may act in ways you cannot predict." Elias felt the presence nudge him again. Images flashed in his mind, a network of tunnels and chambers, glowing with soft light, with walls covered in strange symbols. Then, a sensation, a gentle wave of energy moving through the ground toward the colony. "It's showing me something," Elias said, his voice calm but urgent. "There's movement beneath the eastern ridge, under the largest hill. Something is awakening." Henry frowned. "Are you sure it's not just a tremor?" Elias shook his head. "No, it's intentional. It wants to communicate." Leora's eyes shone with a mix of pride and concern. "You understand faster than most humans. That is why it speaks through you first. Listen carefully, this is more than raw energy. It has intelligence." The team prepared carefully, following Elias's instructions. They positioned sensors to monitor the eastern ridge, capturing vibrations, magnetic fluctuations, and subtle energy fields. Elias focused, letting the presence guide his thoughts. Every so often, a word or image passed directly into his mind. Move carefully. Observe. Prepare. Hours passed as they studied the readings. At first the data was confusing, a jumble of signals and pulses, but slowly patterns emerged. The entity was not hostile. It was curious, testing the humans to see if they could think, analyze, and act without panic. "Captain Kane," Leora said, pointing at a display. "See this? The pulses intensify when you focus. It responds to understanding, not fear. That is why it chose you. Humans who panic cannot interpret it properly." Elias nodded. "It's like it's teaching us, not threatening us." "Exactly," Leora replied. "It respects intelligence and patience. If you learn from it, it can be an ally. If you ignore it, it may act in ways you do not control." The team worked together under Elias's guidance, their skepticism slowly replaced with wonder. Even Henry, grumbling at first, could not deny the precision and intelligence in Elias's observations. As the sun rose higher, the entity communicated a stronger message. Through Elias, a series of precise directions appeared in his mind. Small adjustments in sensor placement, monitoring subtle vibrations, noting the differences in energy pulses at different depths. Elias spoke the instructions aloud, and the humans followed, astonished at the clarity and usefulness of the guidance. "This is incredible," Henry admitted reluctantly. "I've never seen anything like this." "Helping us," Leora said. "It sees the human's potential. That is why it chose you, Captain Kane. It is patient, but it tests understanding first. Elias concentrated. The presence began showing more vivid images, chambers beneath the eastern ridge, glowing symbols and tunnels winding in impossible patterns. A faint light pulsed, as if the planet itself breathed. Then, a warning, a vision of a sudden surge of energy that could destabilize the colony if ignored. He spoke quickly, relaying what he saw. There's an energy surge coming through the tunnels. If it reaches the surface unchecked, it could damage the colony's infrastructure. But it's controllable. If we understand the pattern and redirect it through the natural channels beneath the ridge, the entity was not just intelligent, it was cooperative, seeking understanding rather than domination. Leora stepped forward. We can do this. But it will require precision, focus, and teamwork. Captain Kane, lead them. The entity will guide you further. Elias felt the presence nudge him. You will succeed if you trust and act carefully. He turned to the team. We work together. Follow my lead. The entity is not our enemy. It's showing us the way. They moved cautiously toward the eastern ridge, carrying portable sensors and equipment. Elias kept his mind open, letting the presence guide his steps and decisions. The closer they got, the stronger the pulses became vibrations beneath the ground. Subtle waves of energy flowing through the soil and rock. Liora explained what they were observing. The entity has existed for millennia, observing planets and life forms. It is not inherently hostile, but it respects intelligence. If you respond wisely, it can help you achieve things beyond your understanding. Elias nodded, feeling a strange sense of unity with the entity. It was not controlling him. It was collaborating. He could feel the planet's energy moving through him, guiding his thoughts and decisions. The humans set up a network of sensors around the ridge, following Elias's instructions. The readings were unlike anything they had seen, pulses of energy that seemed alive, moving with purpose, almost as if the planet itself breathed through them as the day passed. The entity communicated more clearly, passing images, symbols, and subtle instructions into Elias's mind. He relayed them to the humans, who carefully followed each step. Their awe growing with every observation. By evening, they had mapped a portion of the tunnels and energy channels beneath the ridge. Elias could feel the entity's satisfaction, gentle but unmistakable. The pulse in his mind was calm, as if acknowledging that the humans were learning quickly. This is just the beginning, Leora said softly, looking at Elias. It has chosen you to understand and guide, but there is more to come. Patience and clarity will be our allies. Elias looked over the ridge at the forest below, feeling a sense of responsibility and connection stronger than he had ever known. The entity had chosen him first, and now it was up to him to act wisely, not out of fear, but out of understanding. As night fell, the stars of Aurelia 7 glittered above, reflecting in the eyes of the humans, who now realized they were standing at the edge of something far greater than themselves. The entity, ancient and intelligent, had reached out through Elias, and the humans had taken the first step toward understanding it. For the first time, humanity felt both small and limitless at the same time. And somewhere deep beneath the eastern ridge, the entity waited patiently, speaking through its chosen human, preparing to teach the colony secrets that had been buried for millennia. To be continued. The morning sun painted Aurelia 7 in shades of gold and violet, but a sense of tension hung over the human colony. The previous day's discoveries had changed everything. Humans were no longer just explorers. They were students of an ancient intelligence that had existed beneath the planet for millennia. Captain Elias Kane woke to the subtle pulse of the entity in his mind. Unlike before, the presence was stronger, more insistent. It was not threatening, but it demanded focus and clarity. Images and thoughts flickered in his mind. Tunnels beneath the eastern ridge, channels of energy, and walls lined with glowing symbols that seemed to shift and change with purpose. Leora appeared beside him, her silver skin catching the soft morning light. The entity is growing more active, she said. It tests your understanding more quickly now. Pay attention, it responds to calm and intelligence, but not to fear or hesitation. Elias nodded. I can feel it. I think it wants us to act, but carefully. It's almost planning with us. Leora smiled faintly. Precisely. But the humans must act as a team. That is the challenge. As the humans gathered in the observation hub. Henry, still skeptical, but more curious than ever, scanned the data with a careful eye. Other team members whispered among themselves, amazed by Ilias's ability to relay the entity's messages. Suddenly, the entity communicated more urgently. Elias felt a sharp pulse in his mind like a warning. Images appeared clearly now. Energy surges building beneath the eastern ridge, channels converging toward the colony. If left unchecked, the pulses could destabilize the ground, causing minor but significant damage. We need to act fast, Elias said, speaking aloud but almost as if reading the entity's mind. The energy is rising and it could affect the colony if we delay. Henry frowned. How can we control it? We don't even know what it is. Leora stepped forward. We don't need to control it entirely. We only need to redirect it. The entity has shown us the paths through the tunnels. If we place the equipment correctly and follow Captain Kane's guidance, we can stabilize the flow. The humans prepared for their task, moving with a mix of apprehension and excitement. They followed Elias as he led them toward the eastern ridge. With each step, the pulses beneath the ground grew stronger, vibrating through the soil and rocks. Elias kept his focus, letting the entity guide him as images and thoughts flowed into his mind. At first, coordinating the team was difficult. Sensors needed precise placement, and even small mistakes could distort the energy readings. The humans worked with care, but doubt crept in. Are you sure this is right? One technician asked, her hand shaking slightly as she adjusted a sensor. Elias nodded. Trust the instructions. Watch the energy. It will guide us. We need focus, not fear, Leora added. The entity respects focus. Hesitation can lead to mistakes, but careful observation will succeed. As they continued, the presence in Elias's mind strengthened. It showed him pathways through the tunnels, spots where energy converged, and points where minor adjustments could redirect the flow safely. He relayed every detail to the team, who followed with growing confidence. Yet challenges arose. A sudden surge of energy caused the ground to tremble lightly, throwing some of the sensors out of position. Panic flared briefly among the humans. Steady, Elias shouted, feeling the entity's guidance like a calm hand in his mind. Adjust slowly. Watch the pattern it's repeating. The team worked together, guided by both Ilias's instructions and the subtle nudges of the entity. Slowly, the energy flow began to stabilize. Tremors softened, and the pulses became regular, predictable. Henry looked at Elias with astonishment. I've never seen anything like this. It's like you can feel the planet itself. Elias nodded. Not me alone. Something is speaking through me, something ancient and intelligent. It's helping us understand, not controlling us. We work together. Leora's eyes shone with pride. This is what cooperation looks like. Humans learning from the planet, guided by intelligence beyond their own. You are its bridge. The humans continued monitoring the energy as the day wore on. The entity communicated in subtle flashes and gentle nudges, guiding Elias to make small adjustments that optimized the flow. Slowly, the eastern ridge became stable. The once threatening surges now channeled safely beneath the surface. Yet Elias sensed that the entity was testing more than just their ability to follow instructions. It wanted to see how humans would respond to complexity, to collaboration, to responsibility. It was a challenge and a lesson. As night approached, the humans gathered near the ridge to rest. Elias sat slightly apart, concentrating. The entity spoke more clearly now, images filling his mind, glowing tunnels, symbols that shifted, and a vision of the planet responding to their careful adjustments. You have done well, it seemed to say. Observation, patience, collaboration. These are the strengths of your kind. Elias felt a swell of pride, but also humility. This entity was far older and wiser than humans, yet it saw potential in them. It recognized their ingenuity, curiosity, and capacity for understanding. Leora joined him. It respects humans, Captain Kane. It will teach, guide, and cooperate, if approached wisely, but a test for patience and clarity. Mistakes could still create challenges in the future. Elias nodded. I understand. We're learning, not controlling, and we must continue together as a team. Suddenly, a faint glow appeared from the eastern ridge settle at first, then brighter. The sensors confirmed an unusual energy reading. The entity was signaling directly through Elias now, conveying information about the next step, a deeper network of tunnels, hidden chambers, and energy channels that could further stabilize the planet. This is far more than we expected, Henry said, awe in his voice. The entity isn't just helping us, it's showing us the planet itself, as Elias agreed. It wants us to understand it, to act with intelligence and care. That's why it chose me first. But it's teaching all of us. Leora's expression grew serious. Captain Kane, the next steps will be more complex. The entity's intelligence is immense, its patience is long, but it will push humans to their limits. You must remain calm, focused, and unified. Elias felt the pulse in his mind grow steady, almost encouraging. Together, you can succeed. The night settled over the colony, the forest alive with subtle energy pulses beneath their feet. Humans worked tirelessly, placing sensors, observing patterns, and following Elias's guidance. Each success strengthened their confidence and deepened their understanding of a URELIA-7 by the end of the night. The eastern ridge had transformed from a potential hazard into a stabilized network of energy channels. The humans had succeeded. Guided by the entity's intelligence and Elias's careful communication, Leora stood beside Elias, her gaze toward the forest. You have done well today, but this is only the beginning. The entity will continue to guide, but humans must continue to learn and observe. Patience, understanding, and cooperation will be the key to future challenges. Elias looked at the glowing ridge, then at his team, who were tired but exhilarated. We've taken the first real step. The entity is not our enemy, it's a teacher, and it sees the potential in all of us. Henry nodded slowly. I have to admit, I never thought I'd see anything like this, but I can feel it now. It's alive in a way we can understand, if we try. The presence in Ilias's mind pulsed gently, a silent acknowledgement of their achievement. The entity had tested them, guided them, and begun teaching them the lessons it had learned over millennia. As the colony settled for the night, Elias sat quietly, connected to the entity and the planet. The humans had faced the first challenge and they had succeeded. But he knew that Aurelia 7 held more secrets, more tests, and deeper mysteries that would require their courage, intelligence, and unity. And somewhere deep beneath the eastern ridge, the entity waited patiently, ready to continue guiding the humans who had begun to prove themselves worthy to be continued. The morning sun rose slowly over Aurelia 7, painting the sky in soft shades of gold and lilac. The human colony was quiet now, the air still carrying the faint hum of the planet's energy beneath their feet. Captain Elias Kane stood near the SDA, edge of the eastern ridge, his gaze fixed on the forest beyond. The entity that had spoken through him was stronger now, its presence calm but insistent. Today, it seemed ready to guide him, and the humans dashed further. Beside him, Leora observed silently. The VRE scientist's silver skin glimmered in the sunlight, and her eyes reflected pride and hope. The entity is patient, she said softly. It sees your progress, Captain Kane, but it will push you further. Are you ready? Elias nodded. I think we're ready. We've learned how to listen, how to act together. I can feel it. It's almost like it trusts us now. Leora smiled faintly. Then we take the next step. Together. The humans gathered in the observation hub, their exhaustion from the previous days tempered by excitement. The experience with the eastern ridge had changed them, had given way to wonder, and fear had been replaced by cautious confidence. Even Henry, who had once doubted Elias, now moved with careful determination.
Ow.
Following the captain's guidance, Elias began to focus, letting the entity communicate through him more clearly.
Ow.
Images appeared in his mind, hidden tunnels beneath. The ridge, complex patterns of energy flowing through them, and chambers filled with glowing symbols. The entity's instructions were precise, guiding him on how to stabilize the energy further and prevent any potential disruptions to the colony. "This is more complex than yesterday," Leah said aloud, "but I think we can handle it. The entity is showing us the next stage, and we need to work together as a team." The humans moved quickly but carefully. Sensors were placed in precise locations, and readings were monitored in real time. The entity nudged Elias gently, guiding his thoughts so he could communicate clearly to the team. Each adjustment stabilized the energy flow, and slowly, the eastern ridge became a controlled network of channels. Leora observed closely. "The entity respects humans who understand teamwork," she explained. "It has never needed to test the VR in this way. It recognizes your ingenuity and discipline." As they worked, Elias began to notice something new. The entity wasn't just guiding, it was teaching. Each pulse, each image, each subtle suggestion was meant to deepen their understanding of Aurelia 7. He could sense the intelligence behind it, not just raw energy. "Captain Kane," Henry said, pausing to study the sensors, "it's like the planet itself is alive. And we're finally beginning to understand its language." "Yes," Elias replied. "But it's more than the planet. There's something ancient and aware beneath it. Something that's learning about us as we learn about it." Leora nodded. "Precisely. It tests for understanding, patience, and cooperation. That is why it chose you first." Hours passed as the humans followed Ilias's instructions. The entity guided them through subtle shifts in energy patterns, adjustments to sensor positions, and timing the flow of energy through natural channels beneath the ridge. The humans worked seamlessly, each step bringing a stronger sense of unity and achievement. By midday, the entity's communication became clearer. It conveyed an image of a large chamber beneath the ridge, glowing with soft blue light and lined with symbols. The entity seemed to want them to explore it, not to conquer, but to learn. "This is the next stage," Elias said to the team. "The entity wants us to understand more, but we need to approach carefully. No rash actions. Observe, learn, and cooperate." The humans prepared for the descent, carrying portable lights, sensors, and communication devices. Leora led them, moving gracefully, while Elias guided the team through the tunnels based on the visions and suggestions from the entity. The chambers were larger than expected, and the walls glowed with intricate patterns. Elias felt the presence of the entity strongly here, like a calm wave flowing through his thoughts. The humans were silent, awed by the sight and the sense of intelligence around them. "This is incredible," Henry whispered. "The planet is alive, and it's speaking to us through the energy and symbols." Elias nodded. "Yes, but it's not just the planet. It's something much older, something aware and intelligent. And it's teaching us how to work together." Leora pointed to a section of the wall where energy pulses converged. "The entity wants us to understand the flow here. Observe carefully. The patterns will guide us in stabilizing the larger system." Elias concentrated, letting the images and sensations flow into his mind. He relayed instructions to the team, guiding them to place sensors and adjust the energy flow precisely. The humans moved with care, their actions coordinated and thoughtful. Slowly, the chamber's energy stabilized, and the entity's pulse in Elias's mind became calm and approving. "You see?" Leora said softly. "The entity respects discipline, intelligence, and cooperation. You are its bridge. Humanity can achieve great things when it works together and listens." Elias looked around at the team, who were tired but exhilarated. "We're learning, not just following. That's what it wants. Understanding, not control." The entity pulsed in his mind again, conveying a sense of satisfaction. Images of the colony, the eastern ridge, and the tunnels appeared, showing how the energy now flowed safely and efficiently. Elias relayed the vision to the team, who watched in awe as the system they had helped stabilize became visible through the sensors and energy displays. "This is amazing," Henry said. "We've done it. We're only beginning to understand." Leora nodded. "And this is just the start. The entity will continue to guide, but humans must continue to observe, learn, and cooperate. That is the true challenge." As the day drew to a close, Elias and Leora stood together near the entrance of the chamber. The human team rested nearby, exhausted but proud of what they had accomplished. The entity's presence pulsed gently in Elias's mind, a silent acknowledgement of their progress. "Captain Kane," Leora said, her voice quiet, "the alliance between humans and the entity has begun. But more challenges will come. You must continue to guide them wisely. Humanity's intelligence and curiosity have impressed the entity, but it tests for patience and understanding. Never forget that." Elias nodded, feeling a deep sense of responsibility. "I understand. We work together, we learn, and we respect what we do not yet know. That's how we succeed." The night fell over Aurelia 7, stars glittering softly in the violet-tinged sky. The humans slept under the gentle hum of energy flowing through the ridge, unaware of the intricate patterns of light beneath their feet. Elias remained awake for a while, connected to the entity, feeling the pulse of the planet and its ancient intelligence. Somewhere deep beneath the ridge, the entity waited patiently, observing, guiding, and teaching. Through Elias, it had formed an alliance with humans, not one of dominance, but of mutual understanding. It was a test, a lesson, and a bridge between species separated by time and space. Elias finally closed his eyes, a calm determination settling over him. The humans had proven they could cooperate, listen, and learn. Now, the next stage awaited more challenges, deeper mysteries, date, and greater opportunities to understand the intelligence beneath Aurelia 7. And in the quiet of the night, the entity pulsed through him, sending a silent message. "Together, we can achieve more than you imagine. Trust, learn, and act wisely." For the first time, humanity truly felt connected not just to the planet, but to the intelligence that had watched and waited for millennia. And through Captain Kane, the bond between human curiosity and ancient wisdom had begun to form. To be continued. Dawn broke over Aurelia 7, spilling soft violet and gold light across the human colony. The air was calm, but a subtle energy hummed beneath the ground, a pulse that had become familiar, steady, and reassuring. Captain Elias Kane stood at the edge of the eastern ridge, looking down at the colony. The humans had spent days stabilizing the energy, learning from the entity that spoke through him. But today, the challenge would deepen, and the true purpose of their alliance would become clear. Leora appeared beside him, moving with her usual grace. "The entity has guided you well," she said, "but there is more. Today, it will test your ability to act with understanding, cooperation, and wisdom. Are you ready?" Elias nodded, feeling the pulse of the entity more clearly than ever. The presence was calm, almost encouraging, and he sensed that this stage required humans to act independently while still listening carefully. "We're ready. We've learned how to observe and respond. Now we prove that we can think as one while respecting what we do not yet understand." The human team gathered at the ridge, carrying equipment, sensors, and portable communication devices. Their exhaustion from the previous days was tempered by confidence. They had witnessed something extraordinary, the intelligence beneath the planet, communicating through Elias, guiding them in ways that had once seemed impossible. Henry, usually the most skeptical, looked at Elias with admiration. "I'll admit it," he said quietly. "I didn't believe this at first, but I can feel it now. The pulse, the presence. It's alive in ways we can understand." Elias smiled. "It's not just alive. It's intelligent. It tests us, teaches us, and now it trusts us to act responsibly." Leora stepped forward. "The entity will guide, but today, humans must act. It will respond to clarity, teamwork, and observation. Mistakes may happen, but learning from them is part of the process." The humans followed Elias down a gentle slope toward the next network of tunnels beneath the ridge. The glow of the energy pulses grew stronger, brighter, and more intricate. Elias focused, letting the entity communicate through him, sending images and subtle guidance into his mind. "The entity wants us to understand the deeper patterns of energy," Elias said aloud. "It will show us how to channel the flow safely. Watch, learn, and act carefully. We succeed together or not at all." The team set to work. Sensors were placed, energy flows observed, and small adjustments made under Elias's guidance. The entity nudged him, showing subtle changes in patterns, paths through tunnels, and points where energy converged. As they progressed, Elias noticed something remarkable. The entity was not only guiding humans, it was responding to their intelligence, creativity, and cooperation. Each adjustment they made strengthened the energy flow, turning potential chaos into harmony. Leora watched closely. It respects understanding. It has observed countless species, but humans are unique in their curiosity, ingenuity, and persistence. That is why it chose you, Captain Kane, and why it now includes all of you in its guidance. Hours passed. The humans worked with precision and care, making small but meaningful adjustments. Each success reinforced their confidence, and the entity's pulse in Elias's mind became smoother, approving, and almost joyful. "This is incredible," Henry said, observing the data. "The entity isn't controlling us, it's teaching us, and we're learning faster than I ever imagined." Elias nodded. "It's showing us that cooperation, understanding, and respect can achieve more than fear or force ever could." Leora smiled. "Exactly. That is the essence of intelligence of growth. You've proven yourselves worthy to learn, to observe, and to act wisely." By afternoon, the network of tunnels beneath the ridge had been stabilized. The energy pulses flowed smoothly through the natural channels, perfectly synchronized with the planet's rhythms. The humans could feel it not just through sensors, but in their minds. It's a subtle harmony that filled them with awe and understanding. Elias paused, closing his eyes. The entity pulsed through him, conveying gratitude and satisfaction. Images appeared. The entire colony, the ridge. The network of tunnels all interconnected in a delicate balance. "It's perfect," he said softly. "We've done it." Leora's eyes reflected pride. "Humans have done more than survive. You have learned, adapted, and cooperated. That is why the entity respects you. It recognizes the potential in your species." The human team gathered around, exhausted but exhilarated. For the first time, they truly felt connected to the planet, to the entity, and to each other. Their curiosity, intelligence, and cooperation had created something greater than any one human could achieve alone. Elias turned to them. "We've learned from the entity. We've worked together. And we've proven that humans can act with intelligence, patience, and respect. That is the real strength of our kind." Henry nodded, smiling. "I see it now. Our strength isn't just technology or tools, it's our curiosity, our ability to learn, and our willingness to cooperate. That's what this entity respects." Leora stepped forward. "Captain Kane, the entity has chosen to continue working with humans. It will teach, guide, and respond to your curiosity and ingenuity. But the bond is mutual. Humans must continue to observe, respect, and act wisely. That is the path forward." Elias felt the pulse in his mind one last time for the day. "Together, you have proven yourselves. You understand more than before. And now, the future is yours to explore responsibly." The humans spent the evening reflecting on their experience. They walked through the forest, listening to the soft hum of energy beneath the ground, feeling a connection to Aurelia 7 that went beyond science or exploration. They had been students, guided by something ancient and intelligent, and they had passed the first test. Leora looked at Elias. "The entity has seen what humans can achieve when they listen, learn, and act together. You have demonstrated patience, understanding, and courage. That is why it has chosen to continue guiding your species." Elias smiled. "Then we will continue. We've learned that intelligence and cooperation are our greatest tools, and we will use them to explore responsibly, to learn more, and to respect the unknown." Night fell over Aurelia 7, stars twinkling in the violet sky. The humans slept peacefully, connected subtly to the planet's energy. Their dreams filled with visions of tunnels, glowing chambers, and the pulse of an ancient intelligence. Somewhere deep beneath the ridge, the entity rested, patient and calm. It had tested, guided, and taught, and now it had formed a lasting bond with humans, not one of control, but of mutual respect and understanding through Captain Kane. Humanity had reached out to something greater than themselves, and in doing so, they had begun a new chapter, a chapter of exploration, intelligence, and cooperation. Guided by curiosity and respect for the unknown, Elias stood quietly at the ridge one last time, watching the stars. He felt the presence of the entity softly pulsing through his mind, a gentle acknowledgement of what had been accomplished. "You are ready," it seemed to say. "Continue to learn, act wisely, and guide your kind. Together you can shape the future." And with that silent promise, humanity on Aurelia 7 looked toward the stars with new hope and understanding. They had faced the unknown, listened to its wisdom, and learned that their true strength lay not in dominance, but in curiosity, intelligence. In cooperation, the future was theirs, and for the first time, they understood that it was bright, limitless, and full of possibilities. The end.